The stars stretched endlessly in every direction as the UES Valiant moved through the darkness of space. Captain Daniel Brooks sat in his command chair, watching the viewscreen with calm eyes. His ship was 3 months into a routine patrol near the outer colonies, and everything had been quiet. Too quiet, perhaps. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange on long-range sensors," Lieutenant Maya Collins said from her station. Her fingers danced across the controls as she tried to make sense of the readings. Daniel leaned forward. "What kind of strange?" "Unknown vessel, sir. It just appeared about 2 million kilometers off our port side. The design doesn't match anything in our database." Commander Lisa Hayes moved closer to Maya's station, studying the data. "Could it be one of our colony ships?" Maya shook her head. "No, ma'am. The hull composition is completely different. It looks almost crystalline in structure." Daniel felt his pulse quicken slightly. First contact situations were rare, but they required careful handling. "Red alert. Battle stations. But keep weapons offline. I don't want to seem aggressive." The bridge lights shifted to a dim red as the crew moved with practiced efficiency. Dr. Henry Garcia hurried onto the bridge from his laboratory, his eyes wide with excitement. "Is it true? An unknown species?" "We're about to find out," Daniel replied. "Maya, can you get me a visual?" The main screen flickered and changed. There, floating in the void, was a ship unlike anything humanity had ever built. It seemed to be made of smooth, flowing crystal that caught and reflected the light of distant stars. The vessel was smaller than the Valiant, elegant where the human warship was bulky and armored. "Beautiful," Henry whispered. "They're hailing us, Captain," said Lieutenant Jake Morrison from Communications. Daniel straightened his uniform. On screen, the alien that appeared was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin had a faint blue tint, and its eyes were large and dark. When it spoke, the translation software worked quickly to convert the sounds into English. "Greetings, unknown vessel. We are the Valkyrie. We mean you no harm. We seek only knowledge and peaceful exchange." Daniel smiled, feeling some of the tension leave his shoulders. "Greetings, Valkyrie. I am Captain Daniel Brooks of the United Earth ship Valiant. We also come in peace. This is a momentous occasion for humanity." The Valkyrie seemed pleased. "We are delighted to make contact with a new species. Your vessel is most interesting. We wonder if you would permit a standard information exchange? It is customary among spacefaring peoples." Henry stepped closer to Daniel's chair. "Captain, this could be an incredible opportunity. We could learn so much about their technology, their culture." Lisa was more cautious. "What exactly does this exchange involve?" The Valkyrie explained. "A simple scan of our vessels, with data shared mutually. Hull composition, basic propulsion systems, power generation. Nothing classified or dangerous. It is how we build trust among the stars." Daniel considered this carefully. The alien seemed genuine, and refusing might damage this new relationship before it even began. "Very well. We agree to the exchange. Maya, prepare our scanning systems. Send only basic technical specifications, nothing about weapons or defensive systems." "Understood, sir." The two ships began their scans simultaneously. Data flowed between them, translated and categorized by their respective computers. Daniel watched the information about the Valkyrie vessel appear on his screens. Their technology was advanced, using some kind of energy field for propulsion that human scientists had only theorized about. "Fascinating," Henry muttered, reading the data as fast as it appeared. "Their power systems are incredibly efficient." The scan took about 10 minutes. When it was complete, the Valkyrie captain smiled again. "Thank you, Captain Brooks. This has been most enlightening. We hope our peoples can meet again soon." "As do we," Daniel replied warmly. Then something strange happened. The Valkyrie's smile faded. The alien looked at something off-screen, and its large eyes grew even wider. It turned back to the viewscreen, and Daniel could have sworn he saw fear there. "We must go. Safe travels, humans." The communication cut off abruptly. Before Daniel could respond, the crystalline ship's engines flared bright and it jumped into hyperspace, vanishing in an instant. The bridge crew sat in confused silence. "What just happened?" Lisa asked. Maya checked her instruments. "They're gone, Commander. Clean jump, no debris, no damage to their ship." "Did we do something wrong?" Jake wondered aloud. Henry frowned at his datapad. "The scan completed successfully on our end. We didn't send anything offensive or classified." "I don't understand." Daniel stared at the empty space where the Valkyrie ship had been. Something about their sudden departure bothered him deeply. The alien had seemed friendly, curious, even eager to talk. Then it had looked at the scan results and fled. "Maya, review everything we sent them. I want to know if there was any error in the translation or the data." "Yes, sir." "Henry, you and your team analyze what we received from them. See if there's any clue about why they left so quickly." "Right away, Captain." Lisa crossed her arms. "Should we report this to Fleet Command?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes, but let's gather more information first. I want to understand what happened before we sound any alarms." He paused, looking at the stars. "They were afraid of something. The question is, what?" The Valiant continued its patrol, but the mood on the bridge had changed. Humanity's first contact with an alien species had ended with that species running away. As the ship moved through the darkness, none of them could shake the feeling that something important had just happened. Something that would change everything. They just didn't know what yet. 2 weeks passed since the strange encounter with the Valkyrie. The crew of the UES Valiant had almost convinced themselves it was just a misunderstanding, some cultural difference they didn't grasp. Captain Daniel Brooks had filed his report with Fleet Command, and life returned to normal. Until the morning everything changed. "Captain, to the bridge immediately." Maya's voice came through the ship's communication system. There was an edge to her tone that made Daniel move quickly. He arrived on the bridge, still fastening his uniform jacket. "Report." Maya's face was pale. "Sir, we have multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Big ones." The view screen showed what she meant. Dozens of massive vessels materialized from nothing, their dark hulls bristling with weapon ports. Each ship was at least twice the size of the Valiant, shaped like enormous insects with angular armor plating. "Battle stations," Daniel ordered, his mouth dry. "Get me Fleet Command now." Lisa appeared beside him, studying the formation of alien ships. "They're not approaching, Captain. They're just sitting there." "We're being hailed," Jake reported. "Audio and visual." On screen, the creature that appeared made several crew members gasp. It stood at least 3 meters tall, covered in thick chitinous plates that looked like natural armor. 4 arms extended from its torso, and its head was dominated by compound eyes that glittered like black gems. When it spoke, its mandibles clicked and clacked, but the translator converted the sounds into rough, deep English. "Human vessel. I am Warlord Kresh of the Thorn Collective. We come not as enemies, but with warning. We must speak with your leadership." Daniel swallowed hard. "I am Captain Brooks, commanding this vessel. Our fleet admiral is available through long-range communication." "Make it so." Jake worked quickly to establish the connection. Within minutes, Admiral Karen Mitchell appeared on a split screen beside Warlord Kresh. The admiral was a stern woman in her 60s, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "I am Admiral Mitchell, commander of Earth's 4th Fleet. Warlord Kresh, your arrival with a war fleet is concerning. Please state your intentions." The massive alien shifted, and for a moment Daniel thought he saw something unexpected in those compound eyes. Nervousness, fear. "Admiral Mitchell, 2 of your weeks ago, one of our information brokers encountered a human warship. The Valkyrie. You know them." Daniel leaned forward. "Yes, we met them. They performed a standard scan of our vessel." Kresh's mandibles clicked rapidly. "The Valkyrie sell information. It is their trade. We paid them for the specifications of your ship." He paused. "We wish we had not." Karen's expression remained neutral. "Why is that, Warlord?" "Because now we understand what you are." The bridge fell silent. Daniel exchanged confused glances with Lisa. "I don't understand," Karen said slowly. What did you see in those specifications? Kresh moved closer to his screen, his enormous form filling the view. Admiral, my species has fought wars for 3,000 of your years. We have conquered 17 star systems. We are considered the greatest warriors in this sector of the galaxy. He paused. Until now. We have no hostile intentions toward the Thorn Collective, Karen said firmly. That is why I am here. To beg you to keep it that way. Daniel felt his confusion deepen. The most powerful warrior species in the sector was begging humanity for peace? Dr. Henry Garcia had entered the bridge during the conversation. He spoke up carefully. Warlord Kresh, what exactly frightened you about our ship specifications? Kresh turned his attention to the Valiant. Doctor, your species builds weapons of war that terrify us. That single ship you command could fight my entire battle group and perhaps survive. Perhaps even win. Lisa shook her head. That's impossible. We're just one ship. You do not understand, Kresh said, and now Daniel was certain he heard fear. Your hull armor is thicker than our strongest battleships. Your weapons have redundant systems upon redundant systems. Your power core generates enough energy to supply a small city, all dedicated to war. And your ship is classified as a medium frigate, not even your largest class. Karen spoke carefully. Warlord, our ships are built to protect our people. Nothing more. No, Kresh said flatly. Your ships are built to never stop fighting. We saw the specifications. Your vessel can operate with 70% of its systems destroyed. It has enough ammunition to fight continuously for months. Its armor can regenerate. Its weapons never overheat. The alien's voice dropped lower. Admiral, we have fought countless species. None build like this. None even think like this. Henry stepped forward. But surely you understand defensive construction? Defensive. Kresh's mandibles clacked in what might have been bitter laughter. Doctor, there is nothing defensive about a ship that refuses to die. Your kind builds vessels that can take punishment no sane species would ever design for. You build as if expecting wars that last generations. As if surrender is not even a concept you understand. Daniel found himself thinking about the Valiant's construction. Kresh was right. Every system had a backup. Every backup had a backup. The ship could lose entire sections and keep fighting. It was designed that way intentionally. Karen's voice was quiet. Warlord Kresh, what do you want from us? Stay in your space, Admiral. Please. The Thorn Collective will not enter your territory. We will not threaten your colonies. We propose a non-aggression treaty, immediately. You're afraid of us, Karen said, not as a question but as a statement. Yes, Kresh admitted without shame. We saw what you build for war, and we realized something terrible. This is not even your final form. These are your patrol ships, your escorts, your scouts. We do not wish to see what you build when truly threatened. He leaned closer to his screen. We do not wish to learn why you build ships that can fight forever. Karen was quiet for a long moment. We accept your offer of peace, Warlord Kresh. Humanity has no desire for war with the Thorn Collective or any species. Thank you, Admiral. Kresh seemed to relax slightly. I will leave you now. But please, heed my warning. The galaxy is watching. The Velkari have sold your specifications widely. Other species will react as we have. Some with fear. Some with respect. Others with aggression, thinking to strike before you grow stronger. We understand. The transmission ended. The Thorn fleet turned and jumped to hyperspace, vanishing as quickly as they had arrived. Daniel sat back in his chair, his mind reeling. The most powerful warriors in the sector had just begged humanity for peace because they were terrified of a standard patrol frigate. What have we built? He whispered. Nobody had an answer. The conference room aboard the UES Valiant was crowded. Captain Daniel Brooks had assembled his senior staff, and Admiral Karen Mitchell had joined via hologram from fleet headquarters. The atmosphere was tense with confusion and growing concern. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Daniel said, rubbing his temples. The Thorn Collective, a species that has conquered 17 star systems, is afraid of us because of our ship designs? That appears to be the case, Lisa replied, her tablet showing the recording of Warlord Kresh's warning. Chief Engineer Ryan Cooper spoke up from his seat. The big man looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight. Captain, I think we need to actually look at our ship the way the Thorn did. From an outside perspective. What do you mean? Admiral Mitchell asked through the hologram. Ryan stood and pulled up a schematic of the Valiant on the main display. Ma'am, I've been building and maintaining Earthships for 20 years. I never really thought about it before, but we do build differently than I think other species might. Science Officer Nicole Carter nodded in agreement. She was a slim woman with quick eyes and quicker mind. I've been analyzing the data we received from the Velcari about their ship. Ryan's right. Their engineering philosophy is completely different from ours. Show me, Daniel said. Nicole brought up a comparison on the screen. On one side was the Velcari vessel, on the other the Valiant. The Velcari ship is optimized for efficiency. Minimum weight, maximum speed. Their hull armor is just thick enough to stop micrometeorites and radiation. Their weapons are powerful but designed to fire in short bursts to prevent overheating. Their power core generates exactly what they need, no more. Sounds reasonable, Lisa commented. It is reasonable, Ryan agreed. For them. Now look at ours. He highlighted the Valiant's hull. Our armor plating is triple-layered titanium ceramic composite. Each layer is thick enough on its own to stop most weapons. Together, they can take direct hits from nuclear weapons and keep the crew safe. Dr. Henry Garcia leaned forward. But surely that's just being cautious. Is it? Nicole challenged. Our weapon systems have primary, secondary, and tertiary cooling systems. If all three fail, the weapons automatically switch to a reduced fire mode that doesn't need cooling at all. We can keep shooting indefinitely. Ryan continued, warming to the topic. Our power core doesn't just generate what we need. It generates 4 times what we need. The excess is stored in 17 different battery banks scattered throughout the ship. If the main reactor is destroyed, we can run on batteries alone for 72 hours of combat operations. I never knew that, Daniel admitted. Most people don't think about it, Ryan said. It's just how we build. Every critical system has redundancy. Life support has 5 independent networks. Navigation has backup systems for the backup systems. We can lose entire sections of the ship and still fight effectively. Lieutenant Ben Harris, the security chief, spoke up. Isn't that just good design? Why take risks with people's lives? Exactly, Henry said, nodding. We build tough ships because we care about the crews inside them. Nicole pulled up more data. But here's what the Thorns saw. They compared our specifications to their own databases covering hundreds of species. Captain, the average warship in the galaxy is designed to fight for maybe 6 to 8 hours before needing to withdraw for repairs and resupply. And ours? Daniel asked, though he was starting to suspect the answer. The Valiant can fight continuously for approximately 4 months before running out of ammunition. And that's assuming we never resupply and take moderate damage throughout. The room fell silent. Admiral Mitchell spoke quietly. 4 months of continuous combat. Ryan nodded. Yes, ma'am. And that's with our primary weapons only. If we switch to secondary armaments and rationing, we could stretch it to 6 months. Maybe more. Why? Lisa asked. Why did we build ships that can fight for half a year without stopping? Ryan shrugged. Because we could. Because someone in the design committee asked, what if we can't get home for a while? And we built for that scenario. Because humans are paranoid and we plan for worst cases. Nicole added more information to the display. I've been reading about galactic history, information we received in previous exchanges. Most spacefaring species fought 1, maybe 2 major wars before establishing peaceful contact with others. Their ships are built with the assumption that conflicts will be brief and decisive. And we built like we expect wars that never end, Daniel said quietly. Yes, sir. Henry stood up and walked to the display, studying the comparison. But there's something the Thorn don't understand. We don't build these ships because we're aggressive. We build them because we're protective. Explain, Admiral Mitchell said. Every human ship carries people, Henry said simply. Someone's son or daughter. Someone's parent or spouse. We build these ships to be fortresses because we treasure what's inside. The redundancy isn't about being able to keep fighting. It's about being able to keep our people alive. Ryan nodded vigorously. Exactly. Every backup system, every extra layer of armor, every redundant power supply exists for one reason. So our crews can come home. But the Thorn don't see it that way, Lisa said. They see ships that refuse to die. Ships that keep fighting no matter what. Because that's what our ships can do, Nicole said. Even if it's not why we built them that way. Daniel stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. So we've accidentally terrified the galaxy's greatest warriors because we care too much about our people? It appears so, Captain, Lisa replied. Admiral Mitchell's hologram flickered slightly. This is a problem. If the Thorn are sharing this information, and the Velcari sold it widely, every species in this sector now thinks humanity builds dreadnoughts for patrol duty. What do we do? Daniel asked. We need to control this narrative, Karen said firmly. We need to show the galaxy that our strength comes from compassion, not aggression. That we build tough ships because we value life, not because we seek war. Nicole looked up from her tablet. How do we do that, Admiral? Actions speak louder than words. Then we'll show them through actions, Karen replied. We'll invite observers aboard our ships. We'll share our philosophy. We'll demonstrate that humanity's greatest strength isn't our warships. It's our unwillingness to abandon anyone we've sworn to protect. Daniel turned from the viewport. The Thorn might be willing to listen. Warlord Kresh seemed reasonable, despite his fear. Then we start with them, Karen decided. Captain Brooks, prepare to receive guests. We're going to teach the galaxy what humanity really means. The meeting ended, but Daniel stood at the viewport long after the others left, wondering how humanity had become the scary monster of galactic society simply by caring too much about bringing everyone home safely. It was, he thought, a very human problem to have. 3 days after Admiral Mitchell's decision, the UES Valiant received an unexpected communication. The Velcari information broker who had started this entire situation wanted to talk. Captain Daniel Brooks sat in his ready room, facing the holographic projection of the alien. The Velcari introduced himself as Talus, and he looked nervous, his blue-tinted skin shifting to a paler shade. Captain Brooks, I must apologize, Talus began, his large eyes blinking rapidly. I did not anticipate the consequences of selling your ship's specifications. It is standard practice in our trade, but I have caused significant trouble. Daniel kept his expression neutral. You've certainly made things interesting. Do you understand what's happening because of that sale? Talus nodded slowly. Yes. The galactic community is in upheaval. I have come to explain what I have witnessed, in hopes it might help you understand the situation you face. I'm listening. The Velcari pulled up a display showing a map of the local galactic sector. Dozens of star systems were marked in different colors. Captain, I have sold information about hundreds of species over my career. I have seen the specifications of warships from 43 different civilizations. None have reacted to human designs the way everyone is reacting now. Why? What makes our ships so different? Talus highlighted several systems. Let me provide context. The Thorn Collective, whom you met, are considered the premier warriors of this region. Their ships are heavily armed and well armored by galactic standards. A Thorn battleship can fight for approximately 9 hours before needing to withdraw. And your medium frigate can fight for months. Months, Captain. Do you understand how insane that sounds to the rest of us? Daniel sighed. We're beginning to. Talus continued, pulling up more data. The Kree sovereignty, another major power, builds their warships expecting conflicts to last perhaps 2 weeks at most. Their longest recorded battle was 16 days, and it is studied in military academies as an example of unprecedented endurance. How long was your longest war? Daniel asked. The Velcari are not warriors, Captain. But I have studied galactic history extensively. The longest continuous military campaign in recorded history was the Thorn Kree War, which lasted 14 months. It involved hundreds of ships and is considered the bloodiest conflict in 10,000 years. Daniel felt a chill. Talus, human history has wars that lasted years. Decades even. One lasted for over 100 years. The Valkyrie's skin went almost white. That is precisely what terrifies everyone, Captain. You build ships for wars that we cannot even imagine. We don't want those wars, Daniel said firmly. We build these ships hoping never to use them. I believe you, Talus replied. But intention and capability are different things. May I show you something? Go ahead. The display changed to show what looked like a recording of a large governmental assembly. Hundreds of aliens from different species filled a vast chamber. This is the Galactic Trade Council meeting from 2 days ago. After the Thorn shared your specifications, the Council held an emergency session. Daniel watched as various aliens spoke, their words translated by the Valkyrie systems. The tone was clear even across species barriers. Fear, anxiety, uncertainty. One reptilian creature stood and spoke loudly. The humans must be contained before they expand beyond their current territory. Their warship designs indicate a species bred for conquest. Another alien, this one resembling a crystalline formation, countered. Or they indicate a species so valuable as allies that we should immediately extend diplomatic relations. A third voice, from an aquatic being in a water-filled suit. We should study them from a distance. Avoid contact until we understand their intentions. Talus paused the recording. The Council is split, Captain. Some want to befriend humanity. Some want to isolate you. A few extremists want to attack before you become stronger. Attack. Daniel felt anger rise in his chest. We haven't threatened anyone. Your existence is the threat, Talus said quietly. Or so they believe. Captain, I have prepared a detailed analysis of the Council's reaction. May I share it with you? Please. Over the next hour, Talus explained the galactic perspective. Most spacefaring civilizations had developed during relatively peaceful times. They encountered other species and learned to cooperate because conflict was costly and unnecessary. Wars, when they happened, were brief affairs fought over resources or territory, then quickly resolved through diplomacy. We fight to win objectives, Talus explained. Not to destroy enemies. The idea of total war, of fighting until one side is completely defeated, is alien to most of us. Literally alien. But that's how we've always fought, Daniel said. When humans go to war, we commit completely. Yes. And your ships reflect that philosophy. They are built not just to win battles, but to survive wars that might last generations. Every redundancy, every backup system, every extra layer of armor speaks to a species that understands prolonged conflict on a fundamental level. Daniel pulled up information on the Valiant's design specifications. But we didn't build these ships planning for war. We built them planning to keep our people safe. The result is the same, Talus said gently. You have created vessels that, to the rest of the galaxy, appear to be instruments of unstoppable warfare. A single human ship has more endurance than most species' entire fleets. What do we do about this? Talus considered the question. You must show the galaxy your true nature, Captain. Not through words, but through actions. The Thorn Collective is already beginning to understand. Warlord Kresh has shared his conversations with your Admiral Mitchell. Some species are listening. And the others? The others will need more convincing. Some will need to see human compassion firsthand. Others will need to understand that your strength serves protection, not aggression. Talus paused. There is one more thing you should know. What? Not everyone is afraid, Captain. Some species are excited. They see humanity as potential protectors. Several smaller civilizations have already requested that Earth establish diplomatic relations, hoping for defensive alliances. Daniel blinked in surprise. They want us to protect them? Yes. If you are as strong as your ships suggest, and as peaceful as you claim, you would make ideal allies for species that cannot defend themselves adequately. That's a lot of responsibility. It is the burden of power, Captain. You can choose to isolate yourselves, letting fear and misunderstanding grow. You can choose aggression, proving the worst fears correct. Or you can choose to be what you claim, protectors and peacekeepers. Daniel thought about his crew, about the young men and women who served aboard the Valiant. They were explorers, not conquerors. Scientists and diplomats, not warriors. But they served on a ship that could fight for months without stopping. Talus, would you be willing to help us? To explain human intentions to the galactic community. The Velcari smiled, his skin returning to its normal blue. Captain, I created this problem. I would be honored to help solve it. Besides, I believe humanity could be good for the galaxy. You simply need to prove it. Then let's start proving it, Daniel said, standing and extending his hand for a handshake, then remembering the alien couldn't physically touch him through a hologram. We'll show the galaxy what humanity really stands for. Talus mimicked the gesture, understanding its significance even through the hologram. I look forward to it, Captain. I truly do. The transmission ended, leaving Daniel alone with his thoughts. Humanity had been thrust onto the galactic stage not as explorers or traders, but as sleeping giants that terrified the established powers. Now they had to show that giants could be gentle, that strength could serve peace, and that ships built to never surrender could be vessels of hope instead of fear. It would not be easy, but Daniel believed it was possible. Humanity had always been good at the impossible. 2 weeks later, the UES Valiant prepared to receive its first alien guest. Warlord Kresh of the Thorn Collective had accepted Admiral Mitchell's invitation to visit a human warship personally. Captain Daniel Brooks stood in the shuttle bay with his senior staff, all of them nervous despite their best efforts to appear calm. Remember, Lisa whispered to the assembled crew. We're here to show him who we really are. Be yourselves. The shuttle touched down with barely a sound. The airlock hissed open, and Warlord Kresh emerged. He was even larger in person, his chitinous armor gleaming under the bay lights. Several human crew members took involuntary steps backward. Kresh noticed and stopped. I apologize for my appearance. I know I am not pleasant to look at by human standards. Daniel stepped forward, fighting his own instincts. You are our guest, Warlord. We are honored by your presence. He extended his hand. Kresh looked at the hand curiously, then carefully extended one of his 4 arms. His grip was surprisingly gentle for such a massive creature. Thank you, Captain Brooks. I admit I am nervous. So are we, Daniel admitted honestly. Would you like to begin the tour? Please. As they walked through the corridors of the Valiant, Daniel explained the ship's layout. Kresh listened carefully, occasionally stopping to examine something more closely. They passed crew members going about their duties, and Daniel noticed how young many of them were. Kresh noticed too. These are warriors. These are crew members, Daniel corrected. Scientists, engineers, cooks, medical staff. Some are soldiers, yes, but most are not. They entered the engineering section, where Ryan Cooper waited beside the massive reactor core. The chief engineer had cleaned his workspace and prepared detailed displays of the ship systems. Warlord Kresh, this is our power generation system, Ryan explained, showing the Thorn leader the schematic. As you noted in the specifications, it generates significantly more power than we typically need. Why? Kresh asked directly. Ryan smiled. Because this reactor also powers our medical bay, our hydroponics gardens, our water recycling systems, our communications, our life support, and every other system that keeps 400 people alive in deep space. The weapons and engines are secondary priorities. Kresh looked at the schematic more carefully. I do not understand. The power distribution shows combat systems receive priority. During battle, yes, Ryan agreed. But look at the default configuration. He pulled up another display. In normal operations, 70% of our power goes to life support and crew comfort. Only 30% is allocated to weapons and shields. The Warlord was quiet for a long moment. Your ship can switch priorities instantly. If we're in combat, power redirects automatically. But the moment combat ends, it goes back to taking care of our people. They continued the tour, visiting the medical bay next. Dr. Henry Garcia greeted them enthusiastically. Warlord Kresh, welcome. This is our primary medical facility. The bay was large and well-equipped, with 20 beds and advanced surgical equipment. Kresh examined it all carefully. This is very extensive for a warship. We have 400 crew members, Henry explained. Every one of them is someone's family. If they're hurt, we need to be able to save them, no matter what. You have medical facilities this advanced on a military vessel? Henry looked surprised by the question. Of course. Where else would we put them? Our people are out here, far from home. We need to keep them healthy and safe. Kresh touched one of the beds gently with a massive claw. The Thorn medical facilities on our warships can handle basic trauma. Serious injuries require return to a base or hospital ship. You bring the hospital with you. Doesn't everyone? Lisa asked. No, Commander. Most species separate military and civilian functions more distinctly. The tour continued through the ship. They visited the mess hall, where crew members were eating lunch and laughing together. They saw the small gym where off-duty personnel exercised. They toured the hydroponic gardens that supplied fresh vegetables. But it was the memorial wall that made Kresh stop and truly pay attention. The wall was in a quiet corridor near the crew quarters. It held photographs and small plaques, each one commemorating a crew member who had died in service. There weren't many, perhaps 20 in total, but each had a name, a picture, and a few words about who they had been. Kresh read them slowly, using his translator to understand the human writing. Lieutenant Sarah Green loved gardening and practical jokes. Ensign Paul Martinez, amateur musician and devoted friend. Commander Helen Price, mother of 2, died protecting her crew. We remember them, Daniel said quietly. Every single one. They weren't just soldiers or crew members. They were people. Individuals with lives and families and dreams. Kresh turned to look at Daniel, his compound eyes reflecting the light in strange ways. This is why you build ships that never surrender. Yes, Daniel replied. Because every person on this ship matters. If we're in trouble, if we're damaged or outnumbered or outgunned, we don't give up. We keep fighting because these people deserve to go home. And the redundant systems, the excessive armor, the weapons that never stop firing? All exist to protect the 400 souls aboard this vessel, Lisa said. We don't build ships to destroy enemies, Warlord. We build them to save our friends. Kresh was silent for a long time. Finally he spoke, his voice softer than before. I have misunderstood humanity.